Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Alien RPG core rulebook. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this popular sci-fi horror role-playing game, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about talents, time and space, and stealth mode. Let's begin with talents. To survive and thrive in the cold dark of space, you need to find your own niche, something you and no one else can do. Such special abilities are called talents. Talents can affect how you use skills, or how you recover from damage or stress, or even let you do things that are quite simply impossible for others. As opposed to skills, talents are not rated. You either have the talent or you don't. There are two distinct types of talents: career talents and general talents. Career talents can only be learned by characters with a specific career. General talents can be learned by anyone. When you create a character for campaign play, you get to choose one career talent. You can learn new talents during play, of course. Let's talk about a few of these talents. In the Colonial Marine Talents section, you have Overkill. You don't run and hide when the going gets tough. Instead of panicking in the face of mortal danger, you can turn your fear into aggression and use it as a weapon against your enemy. You can trigger the overkill effect when you make a panic roll. We will talk about that later on in a future part. Then we have the Colonial Martial Talents category, with things such as authority. By invoking your authority as a Colonial Marshal, you can use your command skill instead of manipulation to get someone to bend to your will. Then we have the Company Agent Talents category, with things such as cunning. If the company has taught you anything, it's to always be on the lookout for anything that can give you an edge. You can push any skill roll based on wits twice, not just once like other characters. Each push increases your stress level by 1. Then we have the Kid Talents category, with things such as beneath notice. No matter what horrible situations you end up in, you always seem to make it out unscathed, probably because no one ever pays much attention to you. When you roll for a critical injury on yourself, you get to re-roll the dice and choose the result that you prefer. Then we have the Medic Talents category, with things such as Field Surgeon. You know the delicate art of stopping a wound from bleeding or treating grave injuries. You get a +2 modification to medical aid when treating someone who is about to die from a critical injury. Then we have the Officer Talents category, with things such as Influence. With rank comes certain privileges. Being obeyed is one of them. You can push any skill roll based on empathy twice, not just once like other characters. Each push increases your stress level by 1. Then we have the Pilot Talents, with things such as Full Throttle. You like to go fast, really fast. When piloting a spacecraft, you get a +2 modification to piloting rolls for any accelerate or decelerate actions. Then we have the Roughneck Talents, with things such as the Long Haul. You've seen it and done it all before. Nothing surprises you anymore. Once per act in cinematic play and once per game session in campaign play, you may ignore all facehugger symbols from a single roll. Then we have the Scientist Talents, with things such as Inquisitive. You are always seeking to expand the boundaries of your knowledge. You can push any skill roll based on wits twice, not just once like other characters. Each push increases your stress level by 1. And these are just some of the talents. Each category has 3 talents in total to choose from. You also have general talents, such as Bodyguard. If someone within short range of you is hit by an attack, you can dive in to take the hit. Roll for mobility. It doesn't count as an action in combat. If you roll 1 or more 6s, you take the hit instead. You can push the roll. There's also Fly Weight. When you block in close combat, you can use agility instead of strength. Then we have Machine Gunner. Firing full auto is the only way to get the job done, in your opinion. When firing on fully automatic, your stress level does not increase. There's also Rapid Reload. You can reload a weapon as a fast action instead of a slow action. You also have Stoic. You can roll for stamina using wits instead of strength. And then there's Weapon Specialist. You're an expert at using a specific weapon model. Choose one from the weapon list in Chapter 6. When you use this weapon, you get a +2 modification. You can choose this talent several times, once per weapon type. You can be a specialist at fighting unarmed as well. And these are just some of the talents. As you can see, when it comes to customization, there are plenty of options for your character. Now let's start talking about combat and panic. We start with time and space. Fight or flight, that's the big question now, isn't it? You may feel invincible tucked away behind your cozy character sheet, but your player character is out there on the line, and they are damn well mortal. Often, it's a better bet to run away and fight another day, assuming you're fast enough to escape whatever thing is nipping at your heels. Sometimes you have no choice. Sometimes that alien thing you thought was right behind you is already waiting for you in a dark corner that you thought was safe. Just coming face to face with an alien monstrosity can turn your mind to jelly. You may only have a split second before the beast dismembers you and crushes your skull. And alien species aren't the only danger, of course. Now let's talk about maps and zones. A conflict in the Alien role-playing game is typically played out using a map of the starship, colony, or whatever location your character happens to find themselves fighting for their lives in. The map is divided into zones. A zone is typically a room, a corridor, or an area of ground. The border between two adjacent zones can be open or blocked by a wall or bulkhead. A blocked border can have a door or a hatch, as indicated by the map, allowing movement between the two zones. Open borders don't block vision or movement. A blocked border generally blocks line of sight, even if there is a door or a hatch in it, unless you're actively standing by the doorway and peeking through. Now, when it comes to measuring time, in the Alien universe, time matters. Whether you are awaiting rescue in an alien world with xenomorphs stalking you, or Mother is counting down to the imminent destruction of your ship, you need to keep track of time. There are 3 separate units of time used in this game, depending on the situation at hand. You have a table explaining those measurements of time. For example, a round takes between 5 to 10 seconds in combat, and a turn could take 5 to 10 minutes during stealth mode. The exact duration of a round, turn, and shift can vary depending on the situation. It's the game mother's job to track time and determine when another round, turn, or shift has passed. Now, when it comes to zone features, zones can have various features which affect actions performed within them. So for example, when it comes to cluttered, the zone is filled with debris or machinery. You must roll mobility when you move into the zone. Failure means you manage to get into the zone but you fall down. Or maybe things are quite cramped. Maybe you are moving through a crawl space or a narrow tunnel. In a cramped zone, you can only crawl, not run. You also cannot move or shoot past individuals next to you, against targets behind them. Now let's talk about stealth mode. In the Alien role-playing game, much of the thrill happens before the enemy shows itself and bullets start flying. A key part of the experience is exploring unknown locations, with enemies lurking in the darkness. In the game, this is represented by what we call the stealth mode. Stealth mode is played out in turns. In one turn, you can move 2 zones on the map and explore them, scanning for enemies and getting a superficial description of these 2 zones from the game mother. If you're a team, you can explore the map individually or as a group. If you want to examine something in a zone more closely, such as accessing a data terminal, you need to stay one entire turn or even longer in a single zone. The game mother has the final say. Now, when it comes to enemy movement, in stealth mode, enemy movement is handled secretly by the game mother. This is carried out each turn, after your player characters have moved. Non-player characters must comply with the same rules of movement as player characters. Human non-player characters can only move 2 zones per turn. Non-human characters may move faster or have other special rules. To handle NPC movement, it is recommended that the game mother has a second copy of the conflict map, hidden from view by the game mother screen. On this map, the game mother can place tokens to represent non-player characters hidden from the player's view. Now, enemies can be active or passive, as dictated by the scenario or the game mother. Active enemies are aware of you and are actively stalking you. Passive enemies are not aware of your presence and can be ambushed by you. When it comes to detection, in stealth mode, you will automatically detect passive enemies in the same zone or in line of sight. If you make no attempt to move quietly, passive enemies will automatically detect you as well. You draw initiative, which will be explained in a future part of this review. If you want to sneak past the passive enemies undetected or make a sneak attack, you roll for mobility against their observation. You get a modification based on the distance to the enemy. You have a table explaining this better. Active enemies nearby may try to sneak up on you for a sneak attack. If so, the game mother informs you that a threat is moving in on you, and then rolls mobility for the enemy against your observation. If you fail, the enemy gets a free attack against you. You cannot spot active enemies that choose to remain hidden and don't attack you, unless you have detected them using a motion tracker first, or the game mother deems it obvious that you spot the enemy. Now, what about motion trackers? These are pretty iconic in the Alien franchise. A useful piece of gear in stealth mode is a motion tracker, such as the M314 unit. You can use a motion tracker once per turn, and each time you use it you must make a power supply roll. The tracker will automatically detect the presence of any large moving objects within long range, which is up to 4 zones, indoors, and extreme range outdoors. And the tracker lets you know which zone they are in. It is recommended that you mark the ping of movement from a motion tracker by placing a token of some sort on the map. Note that the motion tracker will only detect moving objects. If the game mother determines that your enemy stays still, it won't register. Detecting an enemy with a motion tracker doesn't mean you have spotted it and can engage it in combat. For that, you need to be in the same zone as the enemy or have line of sight to it. If the enemy is small or well hidden, the game mother can also have you make an observation roll to spot it. And this concludes this part of the review. As you can see, the customization options when it comes to talents makes each character role, each profession, quite specialized. You will have to identify your strengths and weaknesses and stick to those areas of expertise. Now, concerning time, space, and stealth, it's going to be very exciting. You will be able to relive those scenes that you would see in the Alien films or in the video games, where your character is hiding and you could get killed at any moment. So it's perfect, a perfect fit for the stories that you are going to be creating through the actions of your characters in this role-playing game. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.